A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the BASL and their successful seminar and webinar committees for having reached their 50th milestone in their first webinar series. And special thanks goes to the chairman of the seminars committee, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, for having initiated and implemented this idea of conducting webinars that all viewers from various parts of the world could benefit from. Now, welcome back to the new BASL's fourth webinar series organized by the BASL Professional and Career Development of Women's Lawyers Committee and supported by the BASL Seminars Committee of the year 2021-2022 on the topic Professional, Personal and Career Development. This is a third webinar of this new fourth webinar series hosted by the BASL and conducted on the Zoom platform. And for those who have been unable to register on Zoom, could also join us by watching the live stream of on the BASL YouTube channel. We would like to thank the BASL Professional and Career Development of Women's Lawyers Committee Chairperson, Ms. Indika Nagaratna Kodagoda, Co-Chairperson, Ms. Nalini Manatunga, Convener Ms. Aparajita Aryadasa, and co-conveners Ms. Umeshika Dalpatadu and Ms. Vindika Subasinghe. Seminars Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Chairman of the Seminars Committee, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, Convener of the Seminars Committee, Assistant Secretary of the BASL, Mr. Pasindu Silva, and the co-conveners, Mr. Pandula Vanyarachi, Mr. Ushanu Beratna, Ms. Ann Devananda, and Ms. Nikini Mapitigama. I would also take this opportunity to thank the President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Salia Pires, President's Council, and the other members of the Management Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka for all the support and guidance. Today's topic is careers in insurance for lawyers, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the esteemed panel and the moderator for the day. The first panelist will be Ms. Nimi de Almeida Gunaratna. She is the Managing Director of Icon Spence International Consulting Private Limited and Icon Spence Insurance Brokers Private Limited. She is the General Manager of the Lloyd's Agency in Colombo and the Maldives and a Director of CINEC Maritime Campus. She held the position of Chief Legal Officer of the group from 2007 to 2017. She is a fellow of the Chartered Insurance Institute of UK and is also a chartered insurance practitioner and holds a bachelor's degree in law and is also an attorney at law. She was a lecturer and examiner for the Post-Attorney's Diploma in Banking and Insurance Law at the Sri Lanka Law College Advanced Legal Studies Unit. She's a lecturer and examiner of the Sri Lanka Insurance Institute. She was a member of the Legal Steering Committee of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and past president of the Sri Lanka Insurance Institute. She has addressed many conferences on insurance law. She presented a paper at the 29th Law Asia Conference in August 2016 on the topic, should professional indemnity insurance be made mandatory for Sri Lankan lawyers? She was also appointed the area representative of the Indian subcontinent for the inaugural Lloyd's conference in London. The second panelist for the day and the moderator of the session this evening is Ms. Anusha Fernando, currently serving as the Head of Legal Risk and Compliance at Fairfirst Insurance Limited. Ms. Anusha has over 20 years of experience in the field of law prior to joining Fairfirst Insurance Limited. She has held designated positions across reputed corporates such as Delmich Fawcett Limited, IWS Holdings, AIG Insurance Limited, and Holcim Cement, bringing with her an authentic, engaging, and meaningful way of navigating legal risk and compliance in the business environment. She is a Chartered Insurance Risk Manager, UK, and chairperson of the Legal Advisory Forum of the Insurance Association of Sri Lanka. In addition to providing critical legal advice and maintaining regulatory compliance, Ms. Anusha is a proud mother of 3 sons. The third panelist for the day is Mr. Chandana Divigalpitiya. He has about 25 years working experience in the fields of law and insurance. Before moving to the insurance, initially he worked at a law firm for about 8 years. He was the former chairman of the Life Forum of the insurance industry, and at present, he is in charge of the Life Operations Department of the Alliance Life Insurance. The fourth panelist for the day is Mrs. Deshani Jayatilaka. She's an attorney at law with over 19 years of experience. She holds bachelor's degree and master's degree in law from the University of Colombo. Prior to joining the corporate sector, she received first-hand experience in both civil and criminal work by working as a junior to several leading counsels such as Mr. Sanat Jayatilaka, Mr. Upali Gunawardana, Dr. Ranjit Fernando, late Mr. Ananda Vijaysekara, President's Counsel, and Mr. Chandana Liana Patabandi, President's Counsel. She is currently working as the Senior Manager Legal Litigation at Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation Limited and has over 14 years of experience in the corporate legal environment within the insurance industry. Mrs. Jayatilaka became the most outstanding student in the one-year insurance diploma conducted by the Insurance Institute of Sri Lanka and won the coveted Rahmanji Prize in the year 2017. Members joining the session by Zoom may send in their questions through the Q&A chat box to reach the moderator. The moderator will ask your questions from the panelist members and provide you with the answers. I will now hand over the proceedings to the moderator. Over to you, Ms. Anusha.
Thank you, Divya. So as our first panelist, I would like to invite Mrs. Nimmi G. Almeida Gunaratna, who has over 38 years experience both in law and insurance. So she will take you all through an overview of the insurance industry, also the principles and special areas of opportunities which are available in the insurance area. So over to you, Mrs. Gunaratna. You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Anusha. Thank you, the Bar Association of Sri Lanka and the Seminars Committee and the Professional and Career Development for Women Lawyers Association for inviting me for this session. I look forward to sharing my experience with all of you who are joining, and I do hope you benefit from this. I was given instructions that generally those who are supposed to join are lawyers with 1 to 10 years experience as lawyers. So with the guidance of Mrs. Manatunga and Deshani, who provided the framework, I wish to take you through these basic criteria that allows you to think about the future you have as lawyers. I was quite touched by the commitment in giving career guidance, and I thought I didn't have this. We just went by accident or by fate and made a go of it. So I went down memory lane and remembered when I faced the interview for my first appointment as the claims executive for insurance, the director who interviewed me told me, "Don't expect me to treat you as a lawyer." To this day, I have been puzzled, but I studied the claims, I gained experience, I studied the policy and ventured in to do the insurance exams. It helped me to understand and to achieve what I have achieved today. So at the outset, I would like to start by congratulating all of you for having this basic qualification as a lawyer. It is the basic for any industry or any service, whether it is medicine or architecture, whether it's construction, engineering, or accountancy, you will always have some legal form for that profession to go forward. Likewise, insurance too is based on legal contracts. So, if I by a policy, and all sorts of clauses and documentation that goes in to see that you are having a legally enforceable contract. An insurance is a risk transfer mechanism with special features and is subject to terms and conditions, warranties and exclusions, deductibles, and is based on many legal documents, which is easy for us lawyers to understand. Now, touching on the principles of insurance. Insurance is a special contract, and at its base, there's uberima fide, or utmost good faith. One goes on the assumption that the person who wants to take an insurance policy knows everything about the risk, but the person who is going to underwrite it does not have that much of information. But of course, with development and technology, the insurer too can find out more about the risk. This concept of uberima fide is still there, but it has with judicial precedent turned to be a reciprocal duty, because not only should the insurer say what he knows about the risk, the insured must say everything what he knows about the risk. The insurer too must explain the cover. But of course, insurance companies get over that responsibility by giving this legal document and saying that if there is something that you do not agree or cannot understand, you must revert. But lawyers and non-lawyers, what they do is they put the policy in a drawer and only take it out when you have to make a claim. So much for uberima fide. There's also the principle of insurable interest. You must own or have a legal title to what you are insuring. There's the doctrine of proximate cause, which you study while studying law. That cause has to be a covered peril under the policy you take. Insurance normally is a contract of indemnity. Of course, you have exemptions of life insurance and so forth. And when you say indemnity, as you know, you are going to be placed in the same position that you were prior to the loss. You cannot make a profit. So from indemnity, there are two other principles that we lawyers are familiar with. One is subrogation. Especially in the field of marine, if the insurance company settles the claim, they get you to subrogate the rights if they find that the carrier is liable for the damage of the cargo. Just giving you an example. Then there is protracted correspondence that takes place, that as lawyers, we can understand and give professional advice to carry the claim forward. Because insurance companies in turn reinsure. The reinsurance in turn arranges retrocession. It's a complex risk transfer mechanism. And it is always good for the wrongdoer to be held responsible. And if you recover the damages, the insurance companies too keep the funds in a profitable state, and the next year, you won't have the premiums or the marine rates going up as much as it does. So this recovery process is an area where I will later tell you that in marine insurance, it is being explored mainly by foreign countries. There is subrogation so that you will not make a profit. And there's contribution. If I take a fire policy for my house from 4 insurance companies and it catches fire and there's one claim, each company will only contribute a rateable loss. And another, or the last principle, is loss minimization, where you are supposed to act as if you are not insured. So if you take the marine insurance policy, you have specific reference to duty of assured clause. You are supposed to act as if you do not have a policy. The insurance industry framework, the local framework, is what I'd like you to go through with you so that you're aware of the areas that you will be able to find job opportunities. The Regulation of Insurance Industry Act number 43 of 2000, I'm starting with that act because that was the initial act for privatization. Of course, there were amendments subsequently, 3 of 2011, 23 of 2017. There are 27 insurance companies at the moment, 67 broker companies, and an insurance agency force licensed, and they sit exams and they are remunerated by paying commission. There are rules and regulations, and the legal department of insurance companies are always looking in to see whether there are any complaints or whether there are any embezzlements. The regulator is Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, headed by the DG itself, who is also a lawyer, and a team of lawyers and insurance qualified people to see that the insurance industry carries out its functions and it keeps abreast with developments in the region. There's the National Insurance Trust Fund, where insurance companies have to compulsory seed Reinsurance Commission before it is sent off abroad. There's also the Strike, Riot and Civil Commotion Fund that is administered by the NITF. There is an insurance ombudsman to handle disputes between insurer and insured. All these areas show that lawyers or your legal background will help you or make it easier for you to fit in. There are types of insurance companies, life and general. Life, you get products which Mr. Chandana will explain to you in detail, where it's health related, pension policies, life insurance cover, and so forth, or a combination. The general insurance companies deal with more variety, like the motor insurance, the fire, the general accident, miscellaneous, and marine. Liability insurance there is again a place where lawyers can fit in and work and develop themselves. There's professional indemnity cover. There's product liability cover. There's a hoteliers combined policy where the hotels are responsible for the safety of the guests, and also if there is food poisoning and so forth, their liability is covered by those insurance. There's two operators liability, and there's directors and officers liability, which is linked to the responsibility that we have in the Companies Act 7 of 2007. Composite insurance companies with life and general both existed, but it is no longer permitted by law. Let me run through the traditional career paths that where lawyers have fitted in. Litigation, where insurance cases by the insurance company or by those who have taken insurance policies, if you are knowledgeable and you have learned and you can advise, there is litigation is an opportunity. We have good insurance lawyers practicing. There's also the ability for you to negotiate and come for settlement as long as the quantum can be agreed upon. Some while ago, the title insurance departments had many lawyers because it was compulsory to provide title insurance if you're taking a loan. It's Insurance Corporation and Selinco who have title insurance at the moment. And lawyers who are good with their notarial knowledge, their knowledge on property law, they fit in and become experts in the title insurance department. Very relevant is risk and compliance, where Mrs. Fernando is the expert, where the 27 insurance companies actually should have risk and compliance carried out by lawyers. They are the legal department traditionally who worked for some claim settlement or title, people handle the risk and compliance. There's also, like any other company, human resources and employee relations. The company secretarial angle of it, you can fit in as a lawyer. There's also claims and underwriting, as I said before, though the claims manager being a lawyer, you should be careful not to run the risk of not being customer centric, but essential balance would help you to promptly settle the claims. And in underwriting, and again in the reinsurance treaties and so forth, as a lawyer, you have the basic knowledge to fit in and to learn. In the insurance industry, you require investigations to be done. And if you are not so particular about your title law, like I said, when I was told I was not going to be treated as a lawyer, you could help in the investigation reports. Of course, I used to visit the sites and take photographs and so forth, and then establish liability. There's nothing that you cannot do. So the investigation report done by a lawyer would be quite well covered. There is also a big gap in the field of loss adjustment. If there are big claims, reinsurance companies, and we have to sometimes depend on foreign loss adjusters. We have very few loss adjusters in the country. You have to get a special license and you have to register with the Insurance Regulatory Commission. And also there are separate qualifications, the Institute of Loss Adjusters. So your legal background can open the way to you for that as well. Some time ago, there was medical claims that were outsourced to India and to Sri Lanka by American and English companies. But I don't know with the development of technology and the robotic process, whether that is a dominant market. But as lawyers, you are trained and you know to negotiate and to consult. So you have opportunities there. Now, one area where I feel that it has been under-penetrated by lawyer communities, marine insurance. Marine insurance, when I say it is not the marine insurance of the local market, there are foreign insurance companies that issue marine insurance cover. The cargo insurances that you issue, the cargo clauses that you have to study itself is some work for the lawyer. There's a hull and machinery insurance for ships. There's carrier's liability, when I told you about subrogation, where foreign insurance companies that issue the policy always want to make recoveries so that the wrongdoer, they will pay the claim to the cargo owner and then take the subrogation rights and go after the wrongdoer. This is the way you keep negligence in check.
Mrs. Sivaratna,
yes.
One more minute is there. You could try
to run through. Okay. Yes. So there is the bill of lading, the freight forwarder's liability, and the general average aspect. There is also admiralty law, shipping and insurance. We have experts in the industry. The protection indemnity, P&I club, legal representation, environmental liability and pollution, data protection and cyber insurance, COVID-19, and the effect it has on running businesses and liability issues, all advice for the lawyer. So thinking of this, just one point is I went out of the box. The customer meets the claims department, and if a claim is paid fast, that is the best marketing tool. So I was thinking, if lawyers get into sales and marketing, why not? This is selling a legally enforceable contract. We are always accused, insurance companies, that you go behind the small print and say you can't pay the claim. But if insurance claims and insurance is sold in collaboration with the marketing department, with lawyers, I'm sure insurance will get a better recognition. There's also aspects like adequacy of the sum insured, but I can't go through those technical aspects now. Touching on soft skills, flexibility, the right attitude, accepting the challenge, being innovative, and more than anything, integrity will help you to stay in an insurance-related atmosphere. In conclusion, patiently enhance your knowledge. These are challenging times. We are awaiting and hoping that there will be economic resurgence post-COVID, but now we live with COVID. Make informed decisions, acquire experience and gain maturity. Then you will be ready for responsibility. With positions comes responsibility and teamwork. In management, if you are going to play an advisory role, you have to gain maturity and be knowledgeable. You have to tell your higher management things that they do not want to hear, either how you have to pay a claim or how you don't have to pay a claim. COVID-19 has and will change how businesses run, how we live, work, and think, or we plan. It will change how most things are done, how insurance and reinsurance is done. Still, at the base of all this, you have a legally enforceable contract, and you have the necessary qualification to understand it. All the best. I'm sorry if I rushed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, our panelist is Ms. Deshani Jayatilaka. She will take us through on third-party litigation and alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. Also, she will be touching on title insurance. Over to you, Deshani.
Good evening, everyone. The traditional view was that if you join the legal department of the insurance company, you have to either become a litigation lawyer, or you have to be a title insurance lawyer. Now, first I will deal with litigation. 98% of the litigation portfolio of an insurance company consists of third-party accident cases filed in respect of injuries, deaths, and property claims. Now, according to the work that you have to do, a good understanding of the law of dealing, the Motor Traffic Act with its amendments, the Civil Procedure Code is essential. Now, to become a successful litigation lawyer, it is obvious that you must have a passion for court work. If you do not have a passion for court work, I think you cannot be successful in your career in the litigation field. Then, of course, as an in-house legal officer, you will be doing mainly the role of an instructing attorney. So, your knowledge and liking to do registry work is essential. You should know your registry work properly. Then, though you are doing the work of an instructing attorney, basic drafting skills are essential. So these drafting skills you cannot acquire overnight. You have to practice, practice, practice. You have to read and enhance your knowledge. That's how you get drafting skills. Now, since this is a webinar dealing with career development, I will not delve into the subject matter. Therefore, now I will move on to alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. Now, most of the insurance contracts, they have arbitration clauses. So when there is an arbitration clause, if either party resort to a court action without going to arbitration, the other party has the option of objecting to jurisdiction. Because of this reason, there are quite a number of high-value arbitration cases found within the areas that we have to deal with. So, though the procedure is quite informal at the arbitration center, you should know how to deal with the arbitration center. You should be familiar with the Arbitration Act, etc. Then we have the industry-specific alternative dispute resolution mechanism called the Insurance Ombudsman Scheme. This is a creation of the Insurance Association of Sri Lanka. Though people think that the Insurance Ombudsman cannot make binding orders, within the insurance industry, we do pay a lot of attention, we do respect a lot to his decisions, and we try to abide by his decisions. But we must remember that lawyers do not normally appear at Insurance Ombudsman's office inquiries. But as in-house legal advisors, we should be able to advise the respective departments when they get prepared to go for these inquiries. Then we also have Insurance Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka having its own inquiry process. Here again, you will be an in-house advisor to the respective departments. Then I will move special skills needed of an in-house litigation lawyer of an insurance company. First and foremost, you must have very good negotiation skills, because most of the time you have to arrive at settlements through a negotiation process. Now, there is a common myth, an understanding among the young lawyers that if you join an insurance company, you will be dealing with accident cases and you are trying to get the benefit out of another person's misery. This is not so. This is in fact a myth. In fact, you are, by entering into good negotiated settlements, on the one hand, you are helping the accident victims to overcome their misery within a short period of time. And on the other hand, you are helping your company to mitigate its possible exposures in the form of high value judgments. So actually, you are doing a great service to the society. Then from the very beginning, as a litigation lawyer, you will be entrusted with people management. You will be entrusted with court clerks, subject clerks, and panel lawyers. You should be able to tackle them, monitor their activities, and get the work done. So as you move along the career path, you will be given additional managerial responsibilities. And at a certain point of time, you will be handed down the responsibility of training and managing a team of young lawyers. So by that time, you should have acquired the necessary skills. Then one of the foremost abilities that you should remember and develop is your ability to advise non-legal people. Maybe you can talk to a lawyer using legal terms, but it is not that easy to make non-legal professionals understand legal words and what you are going to tell them. So that ability you have to develop. Then one advice I would like to give the young lawyers, since this is targeted at lawyers below 10 years or in practice, do not confine yourself to one area. Maybe you are a specialist in litigation, but always try to learn something else. Try to learn a little bit of title insurance work, then learn agreements. There's a lot of scope in that area, so that it is easier to switch from one area to another. Then what are the advantages of becoming a litigation lawyer? Yes, one of the biggest advantages in the corporate sector, and insurance industry is no exception, that you can enlarge your professional network. That will carry you a long way. Even if you leave the company, you can find another job, you can start another good practice with the professional network that you develop whilst working in the company. So the other thing is you get a lot of confidence, managerial skills, as well as your litigation skills. Then what are the disadvantages of a career in the corporate sector, and for that matter, a litigation career in the corporate sector? In deciding to join the corporate sector, sometimes you might have to sacrifice a little bit of freedom that you enjoyed whilst you were in the private practice. So you should be able to strike a proper balance, a proper work-life balance. If you are to be successful in your career as well as your personal life. So that is essential. Then I will not delve into the subject area. I will conclude this litigation portion by saying litigation is, of course, a very enjoyable job. It is a challenging job, but you must be very hardworking and you must be able to take up the challenges. That is how you can become a good litigation lawyer and prosper in your career path. With that, I will now move on to title insurance. Now, at this juncture, I would recommend you to listen to what they discussed at the banking webinar, because that is the other side of the story. The bank's side of the story was very well dealt with in that webinar. A title insurance lawyer is basically an underwriter. The people in the insurance industry know what an underwriter is, who an underwriter is, but I will briefly tell you who an underwriter is. An underwriter should be able to assess the risk, and an underwriting lawyer in this instance should be able to decide whether to undertake that risk or not, and also at what rate. What rate here means at what loading. So you should be a very good decision maker. You should be able to recommend to your company whether this property is fit and proper to issue a title insurance policy. And also, with the competition in the industry, you must be very fast in your output. You must be able to issue this policy mostly on a one-day basis because of the competition. Then also, needless to say that your land law knowledge, then your knowledge in the land registry work, testamentary law, all the personal laws like this, Muslim law, etc., apartment ownership law, title registration act, all those things you have to learn. And especially, you have to be very familiar with the wording in the particular policy that your company is issuing. And if it is now, as the time goes on, you should be able to recommend to your company what improvements can be done to your existing policy. Now, dealing with the advantages of becoming a title insurance lawyer, yes, recently I saw a lot of opportunities in the real estate industry for lawyers with title insurance experience. So you can, of course, start a very lucrative practice after your retirement in the this conveyancing practice. Then also advisory capacity, you can join a law firm or a real estate company. Then what are the disadvantages? One possible disadvantage is, like a litigation lawyer, you might be specializing in one area. So my advice for you is to learn things like agreements, go to court at least occasionally, brush up your litigation knowledge so that if you have a problem, you are in a position to switch over to other fields. So, so both these fields, title insurance and litigation, are demanding but enjoyable and rewarding. Thank you.
Thank you, Deshani. My area is the area of compliance, company secretarial, risk management. That's what I'm going to talk about today to you all. You all, now when it comes to the compliance officer position, if I take the Financial Transaction Reporting Act, you all would have heard the Financial Transactions Reporting Act, which is relevant to the anti-money laundering laws and the counter-terrorist financing, that area, based on the requirement that all the insurance companies, all the banks, there should be a compliance officer. That's a legal requirement. So nowadays, I think after 2006, now we are more concerned about the email side of it. Because of that, this position is becoming more and more important. So now all of us talk about law, but compliance officer, what the compliance officer does. So compliance is complying or being in Sinhalen කියනවනම් අනුකූලතාවය අනුකූලව මොකක්කට හරි අනුකූලව වැඩ කිරීම. So that's what is compliance is about. You have to adhere to laws and regulations. That is externally. Even internally, if you have policies, processes in a company, you have to comply with those. So you as the compliance officer, what you are doing is you are ensuring that the company is adhering to the laws and regulations that are applicable to. Now, since we are in insurance industry, we are making sure that whatever the regulations that passed by the IRCSL, our regulator, as well as Insurance Act, Regulation of Insurance Industry Act, we are following. So other thing is like, not only that, as a company, we have other areas like Shop and Office Act, EPF, ETF. So when it comes to compliance officer, those areas also we make sure that the company doesn't miss anything. If you miss anything, you know, it comes to the level of penalties, or sometimes even directors could be personally liable. You know, EPF, if a company doesn't play, the directors have to go to court. So we, in a nutshell, a compliance office is like the eyes and ears of a company who safeguards. As well as I also wanted to touch on little bit of soft skills as a compliance officer, not only compliance officer, on all three areas which I'm going to talk about. You have to first understand the insurance business. Without understanding that, it's hard for you to advise the team about what, if some kind of a regulation comes into play. You have to understand what's happening in your company and the processes. Sometimes you will have to change the processes. So that is an important area to understand your business. Also, you should have I know as lawyers, all of us have interpretational skills. That's a good area. Also, you should know how to report, ability to make recommendations or change processes. Most of all, I have to specifically say, when a lawyer comes into a company, we have to be another team player, not with we shouldn't have the ego of, you know, I'm a lawyer, so I'm untouchable. It shouldn't be there. Remember that you have to be a team player, and which will support you with the team to build trust. Without building the trust, remember, you can't be a team player. So also leadership skills and training skills, because the thing is, in especially things like anti-money laundering, when you are the compliance officer, you have the responsibility of training your entire employees to ensure that these regulations are followed. And also you have to be always in the lookout. You have to be familiar with the new legal developments also. You can't suddenly say, oh, a new law came and we don't know what to do. It's not like that. You have to be in the watch out. As an example, you all know now the Data Protection Act is, I mean, it's in the bill stage, but it will come into an act. So before that, as a compliance officer, you should know what are the processes in your company has to change, and mostly methodical. And right now, even as lawyers, with the COVID situation, we are supposed to work with this new way of holding meetings through maybe Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or whatever. You have to be updated with these things as well, because sometimes you have to lead a team in your capacity. So these are few things which is not only for compliance. I would say for all the areas when you're working in corporate, in a corporate structure, these things are important. Also, I'll touch upon, go to company secretariat. So the Bible is, as you know, is the Companies Act. Companies Act, also we have to, as company secretaries, we have to be very familiar with the articles of association of your particular company, because all the meetings are held, the directors are appointed, shareholder meetings, everything happens according to your articles. Also, if you are working for a listed company, listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange, listing rules apply. and different kinds of circulars that comes into play from time to time. And in corporate governance side, there is a document called Code of Best Practices on Corporate Governance. So in insurance companies, even though insurance companies are, all the insurance companies are not listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange, but the regulator, IRCSL, has requested all the insurance companies to follow this code of best practices on corporate governance. So anyone who prefers to come into this area should understand what are the requirements in this code also. Other normal things which a company secretary does is, time to time you have to submit or file various documents, forms in the register of companies, and whole board meetings. So an AGM. So sometimes you have to get involved in, most of the time, making the board pack, and you have to take accurate minutes and advise your director board. So, and you have to, most of the time you have, when you are dealing with the board role of being the company secretary, you have to make sure confidentiality is maintained. You are not supposed to divulge whatever happens in the board meeting with anyone else. So, so those are the main things when it comes to the company secretarial aspect. As well as now, you all must be wondering what I am doing as the risk side. Usually lawyers don't get involved in this risk management. So how would I say, like, when it comes to insurance companies taking an insurance is a risk transferring mechanism, right? So all the insurance companies goes and takes risks of other individuals or companies. But here what we do is not that. As the risk manager or risk officer or head of risk, what we do is we ensure whatever the risk that could affect the company is identified at the beginning, beforehand, analyzed, assessed, and what if there are any unacceptable risks? There are risks that sometimes it could happen for a good side also. There are unacceptable risks, which we try to avoid, minimize, or eliminate. So that's the task of the risk manager or management. It's not one person's duty, to tell you frankly. It's a team effort. It's mainly the managers and everyone in the company is getting involved in mitigating risk. So as insurance companies, I would say there are various kinds of risks. If I would say, the first risk I would say for an insurance company is the reputational risk. You all know, like, if the reputation goes for a 6, if some customer says, oh my God, this company don't go and put any insurance, they are rogues. That has happened, right? People try to say bad things about companies. So reputational risk is a high risk, because with this currently social media, it's so easy to shame a company. Also, market risk, credit risk, giving credit to customers and how soon you can get it. I'm just touching upon a little bit of few things like IT technological risk. These days, people are going through that a lot because most of the staff members are working from home. There is a high chance of hackers getting into our system, things like that. Last year, I guess, for all the companies, what went through was the business continuity risk. How to continue the business when suddenly a company, an entire area is locked down. So as a risk manager, you have to identify these things could happen and make sure to minimize these risks. So, this is an area which is very exciting, I would say. Whoever who likes to learn, because as you know, we have done, I have done, and my colleagues here have done not only law, but we have done insurance exams also, which helps us to learn these areas as well. So remember, this is, I always say, Rome wasn't built in one day. It took time. If you have passion, if you love to learn, you all can venture into these amazing areas. So try to do that. So that's from me. Thank you so much for listening. I will hand over the next session to Mr. Chandana Divigalpiti. He's going to teach you all about the aspects of policy document, professional qualifications, and how to get those qualifications, as well as he's going to touch upon technical areas which a lawyer can assist with the knowledge of both law as well as the knowledge of insurance. So over to you, Chandana. You have to unmute yourself, please.
Good evening to you all. I thank you very much. I think I'm audible. First of all, thank you very much for the Bar Association Seminars Committee and for these other bodies who have chosen to select me as one of the panelists on the topic of insurance for professional lawyers. Now, basically, you heard about 3 speakers earlier on different areas of technical expertise, starting from Ms. Murat on the marine covers, Lloyd's covers, then Deshani touched upon the litigation aspects, title aspects, and finally Anusha covered about the compliance risk, reputation risk. So before I begin, as a lawyer, you can see it's not only litigation. There are wide areas which a lawyer can help in the insurance field. That's for the time being. As you know, insurance is a fast developing field. I think all the other panelists will agree. When we entered the field, some of the practices, some of the laws which at present was no more there. Policy conditions changing, policy documents changing, and the latest thing is, because of COVID, it's a new normal. With the new normal, working structure different, people work from home, meetings are conducted on Zoom or maybe WhatsApp or Team or whatever form, and the documents are transmitted electronically, no hard copies are being posted. So policy document is in the e-policies, so the whole pattern is changing. Similar to insurance as well. So the commercial field is changing, the way we deal with changing, the client's demanding changing, the new demands for health and life insurance with COVID pandemic, and people seek more insurance because they are more vulnerable with the new risk, the new health risk. So along with that, the policy condition changing, the way we practice changing, the way we do customer understanding changing. So what I'm going to touch upon, given my time period, I'll try to maximize in about 15 minutes. What are the areas a lawyer could help in the insurance technical field, having in mind the legal background? So basically, insurance is a legal contract where, if I very simply says, you transfer your risk to the insurance company, you pay a premium, they look after you. If you have a motor vehicle, what do you do? By law, third-party insurance is compulsory, but if you want a comprehensive cover, you fill a proposal form, you buy from insurance company, you pay the premium, and they give you the policy. That's for the simple motor insurance. Health insurance, same. Fire insurance, same. Basically 1-year contracts. But for life, it's different because maybe long-term contract, maybe 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, 30 years, 35 years, maybe a lifelong time. But the same procedure. You transfer the risk, you pay the premium, and we look after you. And you issue the policy document. As you all know, we all study in the law college. Proposal form is the basic of the contract, and policy document is the evidence of the contract. So policy document will tell you the responsibilities of the parties, the insured who buy the insurance, and the insurance company who get the premium, who look after you. What will be paid, what will not be paid, how much premium to be paid, when to pay, if we don't pay and due date, when you have extension, so on and so forth. That's how the insurance contract. Now, we all being lawyers, we have one professional qualification in our hand. Legal background. Could be attorney at law, or could be LLB, or could be LLM, or maybe a diploma in banking and finance, where law college have lectures or the university have lectures. So different legal background. For insurance also, it's good if you want to start an insurance career, being a lawyer, not leaving a legal knowledge keep aside, as Anusha Ferrando very correctly said, insurance, like law, like insurance, is a fast developing field. The latest is the Data Protection Act. A couple of years back, we got the Right of Information Act, right? Whether it's applicable to insurance companies or whether it's applicable to private insurance companies. There was a decided court case. A litigant went to insurance company to get the medical details. It was contested, and I think it finally went to the Court of Appeal. That is the recent one on the Right of Information Act, then with the private, the Data Protection Act, civilly money laundering. So it's better if you can get some insurance qualification in the same field as well. It's always advisable. You have two fields to bet on. Basically, in Sri Lanka, as two of my colleagues have this chartered insurance, there's an institute in Sri Lanka which is called we call SLII. It's in Kolpiti. We call Sri Lanka Insurance Institute. They have lectures. At one time I was a lecturer, still I'm on the lecturing panel, like I think Ms. Gunratha was there some time back. So there are various different levels of lecture series, maybe for a professional, maybe diploma level, or maybe for the beginner level. I think Mr. Deshan is fortunate to be a student at the institute. So different levels, we want to begin as an insurance career. That's one aspect of the site. Sri Lanka Insurance Institute. They are recognized by the regulator, IRCSL, as a professional body who is able to conduct insurance exam, to hold reinsurance seminars, various CPD development seminars, maybe the medical side, ombudsman side, so on and so forth. Moving beyond that, there's something called Chartered Insurance Institute in UK. All these websites are available. So you can move on to that line as well, and you become a chartered insurer. So the advantage, if you can do, if you want to do access to the SLI diplomas, probably during the time, depending on the time, you might able to get some exemptions to do the chartered insurance exams. Yeah, and at the end of the period, you become a qualified chartered insurer. We call ACII. So that's an area where you being a lawyer could get a little bit of flavor of the insurance exams. And even the insurance exams, you get the insurance law subject, apart from the technical subject as well. So that is one area you could look into, as Anusha and Nimi said, to uplift your insurance knowledge while maintaining your legal background. So that's a professional area which you all can think about it. You all can go to the websites and have a look at it, what's all about they are offering to you, and what terms, and the cost about, how long it's going to take. And all these are self-studies. It's not difficult. There are books are available, online lectures are available, past papers are available. Being studied at the law college or the LLB, I don't think it's a big deal to sit and study the insurance exam, either local one or the overseas ones. Then my part of knowledge is, with your legal background, what are the areas which was mentioned by 3 panelists earlier? Your input could be given to the insurance company, right? Mainly, as I told earlier, a policy document is the one that governs the contract between the insurer and the insurer. everything is black and white there. Nobody can act beyond that. So interpreting the policy document will arise in the event of a claim. Insurance company, due to various reasons, for all good reasons, they might not be able to pay all claims due to certain policy conditions. It could be exclusion, the policy may be lapsed, or maybe underinsured, so on and so forth. So when it comes to an area of dispute, could be before the ombudsman, could be before the regulator, could be in a court of law in a litigation matter, or maybe arbitration. The interpretation of policy documents comes as the main thing for the insurance company. As Anusha said, the lawyers are good with the interpretation of documents. So better, you'll be more advised, you'll be more equipped with the legal knowledge and the insurance knowledge, how to interpret a policy document correctly. It's not a matter with whose favor, the correct policy document interpretation it's given, which will be accepted by the regulator or by any forum. Then the next area is, as you work with the technical areas, having got the insurance knowledge, maybe as a claims person, or maybe the compliance officer, or maybe the regulated background. We all insurance companies are governed by various directions and various directives issued by the IRCSL on and off. That might impact the business, that might impact the way we operate, that might affect the policy conditions, commission payments, any other payments. So you should be able to review those things, update those things, and advise your relevant peers or the top management whether you need a change or whether you could debate the regulations or directives, so on and so forth, how to get along with business. At the end of the day, the business matters, keeping the compliance in hand, because you need to be compliant in business, which is governed by the local law or by the regulated law. That is one of the areas where your input will be more applicable when interpreting the directives, regulations given by the regulator with your legal knowledge, how it could impact the business or whether it could have any impact on the business to carry on the business. Then another area is, I spoke about the policy document. Now, policy document is a basic contract where we have the insurance company. Similarly, you would have heard in the market there's something called reinsurance companies. So reinsurance companies means insurance companies also do insure with reinsurance companies. It's a contract between those two parties. So there's a document similar to policy document. There's another document called a contract we call treaty, reinsurance treaties. And now with the reinsurance treaties, there are legal clauses which you should be able to advise the top management. There are certain governing principles which they apply for the reinsurance benefit, where at the end of the day they are doing business. So you should be able to advise, like a policy document, on a reinsurance treaty. There are technical things as well, apart from the legal matters, how you can impart your knowledge to advise your management or your peers in the various areas which are business impact. And similarly, all the insurance companies, could be life, could be general, as you all know, we develop various products in the market at different times due to market trends, customer needs. Now, you may be knowing, if you want to put a product into the market, we can't do the way we want. If you work in a multinational company, Your parent company has given certain guidelines. Okay, when you put a product into the market, you can do these areas like ABC. It will not impact your reputation of the company. Customs should be looked after. Similarly, there are various rules and regulations imposed by the regulator IRCSL on products. Maybe directions, maybe certain amendments to products, amendments to policy documents. So those things, those things are done in a committee called the Product Development Committee. General legal and compliance, or the claims people, the technical people, are part of the Product Development Committee, which have been involved very much in my company. So there, your legal knowledge will be a matter in developing the product. What happens if we disregard that? It could be contested at a later stage, which might not be good for the company. You can't call back the pre-policies issued. So whatever claims you have to pay on it, and it might be a reputation risk for the company in the market. And with the social media acting, I don't know, good or bad, so there could be bad publicity. Correct, factually correct or not, that's a different thing. It can hamper your business activities. And also, another more aspect is, as I told earlier, I look at the policy document, the latter stages. In developing a proposal form, there are various risk factors we ask from the insured. I will not touch upon those technical areas. And there are various declarations we get from the customer, saying all the information which I have given in the proposal form are true and correct to the best of my knowledge. So there could be areas, there had been areas where the declaration could be challenged, or the proposal form could be challenged. The base of the contract could be challenged. So if you can do a legal background of those things, where to safeguard your company, it's of best interest to the company. And finally, one more thing, the market is, people talk about insurance salespeople, they don't tell the correct thing. As Dimi Gunda showed, insurance people, and there was a Q&A question as well, probably, so we can answer that question on the Q&A session, Anusha. There's nothing preventing a lawyer doing insurance. There's no bar in it. We know in all the companies, there are various people in various different financial fields acting as salespeople, because they can advise the clients on the tax minimization. They can advise the clients how to manage their premium. There's nothing wrong in it. It's an area where you can think about it. So that's, I think I played within the time given to me. I think that's all the knowledge sharing with me. Being an insurance, being a legal profession, not disregarding that, keep that in mind, to developing that alongside being an insurance professional is of two-way things. And finally, it could be able to do your private practice the day you decided, okay, that's enough for my corporate world. Or similarly, it could be a lecturing area. There are various avenues where think about it, rather than we getting into one stream saying, okay, this is if I come into insurance professional, being a legal, that's going to be my end of corporate life, end of my legal practice. So that's not the way. As Deshan said, a lot of networking is available. The day you decided the corporate world is enough, you can get back and start private practicing. You could be expert on insurance law, insurance regulations. There are very much not many people, couple of people whom I know, insurance experts. So there are various areas to venture into, having the legal knowledge as well as the insurance knowledge. I hope those are the little advice which I given with allocated time. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. Over to you, Anusha.
Thank you, Chandana. Now I'm wondering whether to ask you the same question again because it's already you answered that. The question is, can attorney at law work as a wealth planner while he's practicing? So,
Anusha, I want to add one more thing now. There's nothing prevents, but only thing is the term wealth planner. The term wealth planner is sometimes we call agent. Now agent, even in any company, the agent gets different promotions. It could be a wealth plan, it could be a team manager, it could be a team leader, it could be different managers. Now, if you want to do sales in the insurance field, you need to get the license from the IRCSL. There's specific licenses for the salespeople. If you work in life company, one set of license, general company, another set of license. So those licenses we obtain, and those exams are conducted by the Sri Lanka Insurance Institute. So where you have to come through an insurance company or broker company. That's possible. And the advantage, if you have two licenses of life and general, you can, according to the latest act of 23 of 2011, you can work on both companies after separation of companies. Now most people must be knowing life and general companies are different, two different companies. If you have a license from both the companies, nothing prevents doing sales for life company and general company while keeping your private practice alive. That's my advice.
Okay, thanks. I guess the next question also is directed towards you, Chandana, because a lawyer is asking whether it says a lawyer like me to enroll in a diploma in insurance course or certificate in insurance, cert CII UK. What would we do?
Well, my opinion is better you take the curriculum of both the areas, because I know I have been lecturing on both areas, so I know the different flavors rather than commenting on it. So if you can get the two different certificate is basically a certificate level where you get a small knowledge, but diploma is a very vast knowledge of the local subjects where you should be able to get an exemption from the CII. So my advice is better go to the subjects, better go to the syllabus, and you can decide what to be done. I mean, my advice is, if you are a lawyer, if you can sit and study, better go for a CII exam, starting fresh not from the cert level, you can start from the diploma level. Now, that's my personal opinion. I mean, after these things, if you can talk to me on the BASL separate number. So should be able to advise you. No issue on that.
Okay. Thanks, Chandana. Thank you. I think there are no more questions which had been posed towards us. Divya, I wonder Divya is there.
Whether the participants are too much of overdose with technical knowledge, or what's the issue? Nimmi, any comment?
I think we have been very clear in our different fields.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. Divya, since there are no more questions, I thought of winding this up. How is it?
Is she?
Divya will join now. I think she's coming in now.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Anusha. On behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the Professional and Career Development of Women Lawyers Committee, and the Seminars Committee, I would like to thank our panelists this evening, Ms. Nimmi de Almeida Gunaratna, Mr. Chandana Divigalpitiya, Mrs. Deshani Jayatilaka, and a panelist and the moderator for this session, Ms. Anusha Fernando, for this very informative and valuable session. I would also like to thank all of you who joined us through Zoom and YouTube channel, and for your questions that made this webinar an interesting one. Thank you, everyone. Join us again next week on Sunday at 7 p.m. for the 4th webinar in this series on a different topic. Thank you once again, and stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you all the fellow panelists. Thank you.